Howdy, how y'all doing? I'm doing a video response to Steve Shives, and let's be completely honest, I'm only doing it because I want to tap into his 50,000 subscriber base. Except, most of them would probably hate me. No, I'm only doing it to get blocked, because I'm really significant with all my 20 subscribers.
Plenty of reasons to not vote for Donald Trump, but I've gotten comments on a few of my recent videos from people saying, well, why are you voting for Hillary Clinton? Which, by the way, I am. Why are you voting?
I would just like to say, this is the part where I interrupt you and call you a cock! No, I'm sorry, that was immature and childish. I'll let him make his case, and I will make this as respectful as possible. I just wanted some sort of reference to the alt-right.
For Hillary Clinton, and can you come up with a positive case for Hillary Clinton that doesn't involve, well, at least she's not Donald Trump? As it so happens, I can, and I would like to try to make that case for you, at least the reasons why I am going to vote for Hillary Clinton in a positive way, not just to prevent a Trump presidency. And let's start by just going to Hillary Clinton's campaign website and looking at some of the issues that she is running on. Let's check out her platform.
First off, I'd like to say he mentions that he's going to go to her webpage and go to her platform. Here's the thing that I really dislike about that right off the bat. Before he makes any arguments, I'm not going to say that this automatically makes me right because I don't know. Maybe what he brings up is going to be of some sort of substance. But you're trusting something that Hillary Clinton is running on. Because as we all know, that nothing could possibly go wrong with this type of thinking, or with going simply by what the campaign says, or the website says. Because I remember Obama promising hope and change. Nothing has changed. We live in the exact same country that we did before with more policies. If that's the kind of change you're talking about, sure, I guess you're right. Not to mention the fact that he said he was going to grant amnesty, not amnesty, he was running his platform on protection of whistleblowers, talking about how important whistleblowers are. Well, we live in 2016. I don't need to tell you that he is anything but pro whistleblower. Of course, unless we're specifically talking about whistleblowers that expose George W. Bush or other Republicans.
Oh, well, I've already donated to Hillary's campaign, so
I give the man props for being honest. I don't know a lot of people who would admit to donating to Hillary Clinton's campaign, directly donating to government corruption, proven government corruption, of course, unless you think WikiLeaks is a bunch of lies.
As president, Hillary will launch our country's boldest investments in infrastructure since the construction of our interstate highway system, advance our commitment to research and technology, establish the U.S. as the clean energy superpower of the world, strengthen American manufacturing with a $10 billion Make It in America plan, cut red tape, ensure that the jobs of the future in caregiving and services are good-paying jobs.
I'm just going to stop right there before we get sidetracked. He ended up listing a lot of things, and it all sounds like government investment. I mean, I guess I can't really use government investment as a negative thing, especially when we're talking to Democrats or liberals. I guess, really, if I do talk about government spending or the negative consequences, it's really for you guys who are undecided. So I guess the real way that I'm going to tackle this is from the top down, from basic to detailed. So right off the bat, let's talk about everything Hillary Clinton's talking about. She's talking about investments. Okay, well, look at the U.S. national debt. It's over 19 trillion, almost trailing behind 20 trillion. And this was taken today, 11/3/2016, around 12:30 p.m. Right now it's 12:30 p.m. as I recorded this. I actually screenshotted this 2-3 minutes ago, so we're talking 12:37 p.m. And right now, if I actually look at it, if I go and look at the debt clock, yeah, it's gone up 300 million. Yeah. We need to just look at some common sense when it comes to government spending. Okay, we need to acknowledge the fact that if government could spend America to prosperity, good times would have arrived a long time ago. Yet our current administration, our current government won't stop because last year Barack Obama proposed another jobs initiative, the $447 billion American Jobs Act grab bag, which included subsidies for state and local governments. Literally millions of jobs, most of them in or for government, would be created, he claimed, by Washington borrowing more money. America doesn't have for government projects, and America can't afford all that money that, well, he took out. Especially when we're talking about government jobs, because government jobs is essentially welfare for labor. Here's one thing that we have to be honest about: when the government subsidizes energies, the subsidies are really large, and this is also coming from a study from the International Monetary Fund. We need to be 100% completely honest. The problem with subsidies goes as follows. Healthy companies depend upon sound business models. In a competitive environment, lousy companies that are limping along on subsidies will slow the growth of the industry. They're getting just as much money as companies that might actually potentially work for doing nothing, for not innovating in anything. Not to mention, this burden also goes on the taxpayers, which increases taxes because there's no end to federal money. This administration has also directly invested in private companies that have failed. And why do these companies fail? Not because they're not government run, but because they don't offer anything to the market. Because you would think on corporate welfare, getting subsidies, that these companies wouldn't fail because, well, they have a lot of money. Yeah, but they're not doing anything. That's a problem with subsidies. We also need to be honest about the amount of politicians and presidential candidates that have promised to give us independence from fossil fuels. Jim Carter, Ronald Reagan, George Bush, Barack Obama. Don't believe me? Here's proof.
Horrible. Excessive dependence on foreign energy sources.
They promise
bring us closer to energy
Independence for our country
by 1980. By 1985.
In 10 years.
By the year 2025.
Yep, but here we are in 2016, and we're still relying on fossil fuels more than ever. You know what institutes that bring about innovation through tuition? Universities. A prime example is a cloth that has been worked on by Georgia Institute of Technology, which is a fabric that can harvest electricity from both sun and motion. So you put it outside on maybe a windy day from the wind and the sun, it will generate energy. That is innovation, not government subsidies. Not to mention, there's one surefire way to help the economy and create jobs, and you deregulate, so individuals like I can start businesses a lot easier to create wealth and to spread wealth and employ people to get jobs. So deregulation and lowering taxes, and the way you lower taxes is to quit government spending, our close to $20 trillion debt.
Pursue smarter, fairer, tougher trade policies.
Every single president I can think of has promised better trade, better trade, better trade, from Donald Trump to Hillary Clinton to Gary Johnson to Jill Stein to the presidents who have actually been elected, like Ronald Reagan, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama. And what has changed? Absolutely nothing.
To a full employment, full potential economy, and break down barriers so that growth, jobs, and prosperity are shared in every community in America. Now, you might say,
because we're going to put a lot of coal miners and coal companies out of business. Right, Tim?
I must be the only one here who knows how economics works, and I'm not even an expert in economics, but you're going to take away jobs for renewable energy resources. You're the government trying to force the hand. Now, I will admit that there is one thing that the government can do that will help innovation, and that is raise the minimum wage. Because what happens when you raise the minimum wage? Well, McDonald's uses machines to take your order. Yeah, that's what happens. That's the only thing government has ever really officially done that has been really successful. It might be a little stretch to say government's only. I'm sure they've done a few good things, maybe. But, yeah, they, raise the minimum wage, and then McDonald's has robots taking our orders. That's true innovation. Thanks for government regulation. Thank you, government regulation. Thank you, Obama. Thank you, Kate Brown of Oregon.
That is, look, time tunnel again. You might say that is just political talk. You might say,
that's exactly what I'm going to say. It is exactly political talk, because Donald Trump has offered the same thing. So you're voting for Hillary Clinton over Donald Trump because Hillary Clinton promised something that Donald Trump also promised. Not to mention, I thoroughly explained, not thoroughly, but I pretty well summed it up why it's a stupid policy and why government doesn't create jobs.
That's just Hillary telling people what they want to hear, but you can make that same argument about Donald Trump.
I am glad we agree. That is why I'm not voting for either Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. I don't trust politicians who like to promise economic growth while at the same time promising to regulate it.
Politicians, at least politicians who are elected president, do tend to at least try to keep their campaign promises. I know that's a terribly controversial thing to say, but
You're right, because Barack Obama promised to be friends to whistleblowers. Yeah, that didn't happen. Barack Obama also promised economic growth. Yeah, that really didn't happen. It's been the slowest progress out of a recession ever since the Great Depression. Yeah, should I name other things that he's promised? Should we talk about his promises to end George W. Bush's war? The ones that he expanded? It's all George W. Bush's fault, but then he reenacts the Patriot Act, Guantanamo Bay. He extended those policies. A lot of times, government officials, including the presidents of the United States, can't get fired for not doing what they promised. There's really no incentive to do what you promised unless you're trying to run for re-election. Even then, you just do nothing. People don't assume that they're, people realize their lives don't change, so they think it's a good president because nothing's gotten worse to them.
if you go back and look at some of the fact-checking websites like PolitiFact or factcheck.org, and you look at the number of campaign promises that President Obama
You are going to have to please excuse me if I do not trust anything that PolitiFact says.
has kept or tried to keep. I mean, obviously, there are always going to be promises that aren't kept, that either the president just sort of forgets about or maybe doesn't intend to try to keep, or promises that aren't kept because, Congress, in the case of Obama, I think this is the case with a lot of it, Congress just...
Of course, make excuses for the candidates that you support. You blame it on Congress. The funny thing is up until now, Republicans haven't had control of Congress for 8 years. You think Democrats would support the Democratic president on his policies?
history of American presidents, I think you'll be somewhat surprised by how many of their campaign promises they kept in some measure, or at least tried.
You see, by your logic, you should vote for Donald Trump because he's basically promised the same thing that Hillary Clinton has promised.
To keep. So when Hillary puts a campaign promise on her website, to me, it's not just puffery. It's not just her saying, she'll say anything to get elected.
I highly suggest that you watch this video on YouTube if you think Hillary Clinton's really going to keep any of her campaign promises. She lies, kind of like how Clinton lied about not knowing what C meant in emails, how she didn't know that C stand for classified. How many times did she change her story about Benghazi? Or when she lied about being under sniper fire in Bosnia? How many things is she going to lie about? And yet you believe her campaign promises. Okay, I've made this video so long because I swear to God I have to respond to every single point you make every 2 seconds. So I have to skip a huge section of the video because he goes on for a minute or two talking about how he thinks Hillary Clinton is going to keep all of her promises and how, presidential candidates sell themselves because, they tend to keep those promises.
Wants to raise wages.
Okay, raising wages is a terrible idea. I'm not even going to make the argument anymore. It's been explained so many times, but you still virtue signal saying she wants to raise wages. Look at the top 5 countries that Bernie Sanders liked to shoehorn in his presidential campaign, in his speeches, talking about how better off they are. The countries with the lowest unemployment rates and that are the most prosperous happen to be countries with 0 minimum wage. Yeah, I got a little triggered, but seriously, keep the virtue signaling at home.
Of Hillary's website, as president, Hillary will invest in good-paying jobs.
See, now we're pretty much repeating everything that she said that she's going to do. She's going to invest. She's going to spend more government money. She's going to spend government money. There's a funny little chart, funny little statistics that show when the government lowers taxes, stops government spending, the economy actually does way better. Not to mention, in a 2012 survey of top economists, the University of Chicago's Booth School of Business found that only 8% agreed that tax cuts would not boost the economy. Not to mention, we have to bring up the moral implication of government. For some reason, people believe that government knows how to spend your money more than you do. No, the free market's better. You know how to spend your money more than government does.
Restore collective bargaining rights for unions and defend against partisan attacks on workers' rights.
Right, because pushing unions down people's throats isn't violating workers' rights. Are you serious? Because unions can't become just as corrupt as corporations? Come on.
Raise the minimum wage and strengthen overtime rules. If you were looking...
Yes, yes, regulate the economy. Regulate it to death. Move jobs back overseas, which is what she promises. Production jobs in the United States, but let's raise minimum wage and add more regulation, costing businesses more money.
Clinton on election day and vote for her happily and vote for her proudly, and why I would still vote for her no matter who her Republican opponent was. Because even though Donald Trump makes it a lot easier to vote for Hillary Clinton, or indeed to vote for any Democrat who may have been filling that spot in her place, the fact is Hillary Clinton is a better candidate for president of the United States than any Republican candidate I could imagine.
It's funny because her campaign apparently didn't think so when they pretty much sabotaged Rand Paul's campaign. If you don't believe in WikiLeaks, you're not going to believe what I said at all. But according to an email released by WikiLeaks, Hillary Clinton's campaign, kind of feared Rand Paul being the Republican nominee. Why? Why? Well, let's see. Simply because, Democrats aren't like you and they actually like Rand Paul. But you hate libertarians. I forgot that.
Certainly better than any of the other occupants of the primary election clown car that did not quite make it and fell to the campaign of Donald Trump. Chris Christie, Rand Paul, Mike Huckabee, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, Jeb Bush. There's not one of them that I would have even considered voting for.
Yes, because that is your partisan and you are a Democrat. Wow, you have convinced me to vote Hillary Clinton because you're a Democrat saying you wouldn't have voted for a Republican. I give you applause for trying to make sense.
Hillary Clinton is a fundamentally honest politician.
Wow, I could only imagine the mental gymnastics that needs to happen in order to make that statement. That is the most intellectually dishonest statement I have ever heard. Well, not only do we have 13 minutes of Hillary Clinton lying highlighted in this video, well, she lied about Benghazi. I know, Benghazi, oh my god. She called Latinas, taco bowls, Hispanics and Latino outreach, taco bowl engagement, and then has the balls to say that Trump supporters belong in a basket of deplorables because they're full of white supremacists and racists and whatnot. And then she lied about her emails so many times. And then she tried to blame Russia for hacking her emails. Because, it's Russia's fault who exposed Hillary Clinton's emails, It's not her fault for being corrupt and dishonest, as her WikiLeaks emails have proved. But I forget that Steve Shives is in an echo chamber, and he's blocked everybody who opposes his opinions or his viewpoints. So, it does make sense that he believes that Hillary Clinton is an honest politician. Despite Benghazi, WikiLeaks, the fact that she lied about being poor, right? The fact that she defended a, 12-year-old rapist. But she's completely honest. She didn't know what C meant on her, as Secretary of State. She didn't know the C meant classified. Huh. I guess you haven't been following the WikiLeaks emails or any other Clinton scandal that has happened within the last 16, 24 years, 30 years, 3 decades.
I know that's a super controversial thing to say, because not only are most of us incredibly cynical about politics and we just assume that politicians are lying to us most of the time anyway.
Dude, what the fuck? How many drugs have you been taking? How many drugs have you been consuming to completely miss the WikiLeaks email scandals that has shown her lying? To the point that you haven't seen this. Oh my god, I'm just beating a dead horse now. I need to skip everything he says about Hillary Clinton being an honest politician, because it's just going to make this video go to 30 minutes.
Regardless of their party affiliation. But Hillary Clinton has been the subject of endless narratives for 30 years about her dishonesty, about her duplicity, about how she hides things, about how there's just something about her that isn't right. We take one more trip through the time tunnel and we find ourselves at the PolitiFact page for Hillary Clinton, where PolitiFact...
Oh my god, you just can't make this shit up.
A lot of people don't like Hillary. A lot of people don't trust Hillary. But I submit to you that a large portion of that mistrust is not based in fact. But is based in the negative stories that have been told about her for 30 years. The narrative that has been repeated over and over again, that has been given a voice and a platform throughout many areas of the media.
Right, because, modern day media doesn't paint Donald Trump as shit that he's not. And I fucking hate Donald Trump. Oh my god. Echo chamber much? Are you in a... Okay. I need to calm down.
That she is a dishonest person, that she is not to be trusted.
Benghazi, WikiLeaks, the fact that she attacked her husband's, alleged rape victims, sexual harassment victims. She lied about being under sniper fire. What? Or the fact that the Clinton Foundation, the money that was donated to Haiti, but Haiti didn't see a single dime of this money that was donated to the foundation for Haiti, and people protested outside of the Clinton building in Haiti because they didn't get any money?
I don't think there is any more reason to distrust Hillary Clinton at face value than there is to distrust Barack Obama.
I'm about to have an aneurysm.
I think that she is just as trustworthy a politician as he was and is. And I think that she will be just as dependable and reliable of a president.
I know, we're beating the dead horse, when we talk about Benghazi. But yes, I'm sure to those dead soldiers, those dead CIA contractors, she was real dependable. Although, if we're being honest, her client that raped a 12-year-old probably does see her as a dependable person. I guarantee he's casting the first vote for her.
Make it so that Hillary Clinton is not a perfect candidate for me. But if you weigh her positives versus negatives, and if you compare her not just to Trump, but to any of the potential Republican alternatives to her, and the third-party alternatives to her, I think it becomes quite clear.
Just give me 1 second. Give me a few seconds. I don't think I can even formulate a response to that. I mean, is there any way to formulate a response to that? At this point, I'm going to have to say no. No, there isn't.
If you want to have a country and a culture that is oriented toward recognizing and protecting the rights of marginalized people, of blacks, of people of color.
The kinds of kids that are called super predators, we have to bring them to heel. Super predators, no conscience, no empathy, super predators, we have to bring them to heel. Super predators, no conscience, no empathy, super predators, super predators, super predators, super predators, super predators, super predators, we have to bring them to heel.
She cares about minorities, but she referred to Latino-Hispanic engagement as talkable engagement.
Of women, of LGBTQ folks.
Right, except we're ignoring the fact that she called Bill Clinton's rape accusers or sexual harassment accusers a right-wing conspiracy. Oh, and she's actually really anti-LGBTQ, I guess I should add. Confirmed by when she not only said that she thinks marriage is between a man and a woman, also WikiLeaks dumps. Anyway, the rest of the video is Steve Shives kissing Hillary Clinton's ass like no other. He is making out with her ass, tongue and everything, after she took a big fat load. Sorry for the vulgar language, but you kind of have to have vulgar language when you're responding to a video like this. So, Renegade Slogan Media, Logan here, signing out. Have a good one, and try not to shoot yourself after watching this.